Okay, good evening and welcome. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd. Time is 7 o'clock, and this is the Twinsburg Board of Education regular meeting. I would like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Here.
Mr. Culver?
Here.
Mrs. Gordon?
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm told that for D, we do have a need to amend the agenda, specifically action item personnel J1, certificated staff contract. We need to remove Melanie Rieger, being recommended for an intervention specialist position at Wilcox Primary School. Do I have a motion? So moved by Mrs. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fabio. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon? Mr. Culver?
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. Okay, I don't see the president. Okay, we'll move on to communications, and I will move on to my president's report. Good evening and welcome parents, community, and administration of Twinsburg City Schools. I'm Mark Curtis, and I'm honored to be your board president. School is underway, and we are in the first few weeks. Things have gone relatively smooth. Protocols that have been put in place to ensure the safety of our students and staff have been effective. We remain optimistic that things will continue to go as planned. We only ask that parents and students continue to remain vigilant and sticking with what is allowing us to offer the very best possible education under these unprecedented circumstances. Our fall sports teams also continue to have success, and we look forward to enjoying the season as it moves on. Special thanks goes to everyone involved in making our competitions safe for our patrons and our student athletes. You may wonder why we're all not dressed in our traditional professional attire this evening, and this is because this week is Spirit Week, and as such, we're following suit and participating along with the rest of our students and staff. Although education is the primary focus throughout school, having a little fun in these strange times helps us to break up the monotony and bring a smile every once in a while. As fall has officially begun, the days are getting shorter, the leaves are changing colors, and the smell of pumpkin spice lattes is in the air. Let's continue to enjoy the weather while it lasts and do all we can in being kind to one another every day. Please continue to be safe and stay healthy. This concludes my president's report, and I will now turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Mrs. Powers.
Good evening, Mr. Curtis. Good evening, Board of Education. Indeed, we have had a very positive start to our school year. Our staff and our students are working so hard. Board of Education is today, actually all day. I spent the day with our Twinsburg Education Association President, Kim Fink, and we went to the buildings to talk with the staff members who have some concerns and who have some ideas about how we can do things a little bit easier, potentially a little bit smarter, more efficiently. And so I appreciate Kim's invitation to attend these meetings with her. It was a great day. We sat with teachers and administrators, did some problem solving, and we'll be putting some things into place to address some of the things that were brought up today. So it's actually a very good day today. Board of Education, if we were in a typical year, today would have been the day that we would have begun our Student of the Month presentation and our school highlights. And obviously things are all a little off center. We started school a little bit later and such, but I wanted to let you know that the Student of the Month and the school presentations will return in October. They will be done virtually. So the principals are thinking of ways that they can record their presentations of the boys and girls that we have so many to celebrate. And we'll be bringing them to you in virtual presentations. So we look forward to all of that next month. And I just know our staff is so creative, they're going to do a great job. And really, it's all about celebrating kids and celebrating their accomplishments and really helping them feel really proud of all that they do while they're here in school with us. As Mr. Curtis indicated, it is homecoming week, and even though our annual homecoming parade, which should have happened tomorrow night, is canceled, we are still excited about many of the activities going on around the school district. As Mr. Curtis indicated, today was school spirit or team spirit apparel wear day. And tomorrow is Throwback Thursday, and then, of course, Friday is our class color day. Tomorrow and Friday morning, we have a special treat for our high school students, and that is our Twinsburg Martian band and the paint crew are going to be greeting the students as they arrive to school tomorrow. We're going to divvy up the band and divvy up the paint crew, and as our high school students come through the doors, they're going to be greeted by a lot of excitement, a lot of spirit, and so it should be a really good morning tomorrow morning as well as Friday morning this week. Of course, everyone can catch Friday's homecoming game via the live stream that we have set up. I want to thank Mr. Welker and Mr. Kirtley for all the work behind the scenes to get that live streaming established for us, not only here in the auditorium, but also at Tiger Stadium and Tiger Stadium and here, and also in the gymnasium. So we have a lot of places where our families, although they can't be present, are able to participate and cheer on our Tigers, hopefully to victory in every single match and game. Board of Education, we have great partners with the Emergency Assistance Center, and every year we have this Fill the Bus, sort of a competition with Nordonia Hills schools. Because of the pandemic, things are going to be a little bit different this year. It's really not going to be a competition between Nordonia and Twinsburg, but the effort is going to still be there. So beginning October 1st through the 30th of October, we're going to be engaging our school families and hopefully the community in the Fill the Bus campaign. And we hope to build some school buses with non-perishable items that the Emergency Assistance Center is really in need of. I talked with Joyce on Monday of this week, and she was telling me that the pantries are pretty bare at this point, and so they are really reaching out to our school district to help fill the pantries with much needed supplies for members of our community. So we're happy to help. They are great partners with us in the Pause on Child Hunger program. So any way that we can help to support their need, I'm quite sure our boys and girls and our parents are going to jump on board and help build the pantry. Board of Education, I have two things to share with you this evening. You're already aware, but our community is not. As you know, in July, Lieutenant Governor John Husted shared that the state of Ohio planned to expand broadband services in our state. Lieutenant Governor announced that the state would set aside funding through the Federal CARES Act to provide hotspots and internet-enabled devices to students. Given the ongoing pandemic, obviously there are some families in our school community that could use a hotspot and internet access, and so we have sent letters through the U.S. mail to the parents of students. We have to identify what they're calling vulnerable groups, and so that would be our parents whose children are eligible for the federal free and reduced price launch program, but we were only able to include them in this opportunity if they had submitted their waivers to us. So there were families that were going to miss unless through this announcement, and Mr. Bennett has done a great job of reaching out and suggesting that parents fill in those waivers. But for those parents who have done that and who send back their letter of interest to us to participate, that would be one group. The second group identified for this grant opportunity would be our students with disabilities, and the third group would be our English language learners. So we have the ability through these grant dollars to purchase 169 hotspots and the internet connectivity that goes with that. And we need our parents who are receiving these letters through the U.S. mail to either click on through the link included in the letter or to send a hard copy. We included self-addressed stamped envelopes with this to make it easy for families. And we are expecting those letters back by Monday, September 28th. So we appreciate tonight's opportunity to get the word out. We have been anxious about getting some letters back and hopefully plenty of interest. If we have more than 169, we will pull 169 for the lottery system. But honestly, this is a great opportunity for families who need a hotspot and need internet access so that their children can do work at home. These hotspots will be borrowed for this school year and then returned to the district at the end of the school year in May, and then we'll reuse them moving forward into next year and beyond. So we appreciate those from Columbus who had the foresight to offer this opportunity to public school districts, and we're hoping that our Tiger families who are eligible jump on this opportunity and submit their letter of interest so that we can include them in our lottery. Board of Education, the second great thing that we received, or we were hopefully going to receive, was an invitation to participate in Summit County's school reopening grants. And we know that County Executive Eileen Shapiro sent a letter to school superintendents last week, and I'd like to read it in part. It says, financial challenges continue to mount for all areas of our community, and I know public schools are no different. That is why I am pleased to inform you that I will ask County Council to approve more than $7 million in school reopening grants to help support Summit County public school districts. These funds will come directly from Summit County's allocation of CARES Act dollars and may be used to cover costs associated with providing distance learning or for in-person learning. And so the Summit County Council was supposed to meet last night, or actually the 21st, to discuss and determine whether or not this opportunity will be moved forward. I'm pleased to inform the Board of Education that I did receive correspondence from Executive Shapiro's office. The County Council did authorize these dollars, and so it would be distributed through Summit County schools based on our ADM. So it would appear at this point, the dollars that the school district will receive from this reopening grant from Summit County Council is $409,604. So we are most appreciative to Eileen Shapiro and Summit County Council for really considering the fact that when you're operating a school district during a pandemic, there are so many unexpected expenditures, and there is great need to fill so that we can continue to provide great opportunities for our students. So this evening on the agenda, you will see the resolution to allow me now to apply for these grant dollars, and I was told through an email from Eileen Shapiro's office that we'll be receiving extended paperwork to complete here in the next day or so. So with the board's authorization this evening, we'll be able to accept those dollars and then be able to use them for instruction here in our school district. So we're pretty excited about this opportunity. Really came out of nowhere. Okay, I guess somebody else is excited too, right? And then Board of Education, as you know, this evening, Mrs. Garden is going to be presenting some information about the local report card, which was distributed throughout the state of Ohio on September 15th. This year's local report card has a total different look because of the lack of testing that spring. It's an abbreviated report card at best. And so there is data we are going to be reviewing that will be helpful to analyze and to help inform some decisions with regard to academic programming, especially those items related to our early literacy piece. There's some pretty good data because what happened, we were able to get that testing done before the pandemic even came to be. And so there's some good data that we can use to help make some informed decisions. And then also, the other pretty exciting thing this evening, Board of Education, is Mr. Bendis, as you know, was at our board meeting probably a month ago, and he talked to you about all the opportunities that his department provides. And again, the Federal CARES Act is really working hard to provide additional programs for our students. And this evening, I would like Mr. Bendis to come forward and explain a great opportunity for all of our families, every single one of our students from preschool to 12th grade, program called the Summer Seamless Option. So good evening, Mr. Bendis. We're excited to see you, and I know the board will be happy to hear some great news.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. So the Summer Seamless Option is a program that is it's actually a combination program that combines the National School Lunch Program and the National School Breakfast Program. And it's typically a program that is reserved for communities with a higher than 50% free or reduced population. You guys hear me okay? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. So, but typically, because these are unprecedented times with COVID going on, and because of the CARES Act, there is an opportunity presented to us to participate in this program for the families of Twinsburg City Schools. So what that means for us is right now, because of the CARES Act, there's funds to provide to us the option to participate through December 30th, till the end of the school semester in December. So what that means for us is Twinsburg families would be eligible for all Twinsburg families would be eligible to receive a free lunch and free breakfast throughout this semester. So very unusual, but really a great opportunity for us to provide to our families. It is an optional program, so there's no requirement to participate, but it seems to be an opportunity that would catch a lot of our folks that might seem to fall through the cracks. There's a lot of people that apply for free or reduced meals that maybe just miss that cutoff, so they still may be struggling financially. So this is a great opportunity for us to provide some further assistance to them, as well as a unique opportunity for us as well, because, I mean, if you've seen our program since we started the school year, we are a major mobilized force. I mean, we have carts rolling in every direction and meals being distributed to classrooms, and I think this would be an opportunity to further that opportunity and provide more children with meals. So it's, I mean, this is a program that we could start any time. So, does anyone have any questions?
So how did the families opt in? Do they go online and say, you want to opt in on a form, or?
So, with this program, there's no opt-in or opt-out. So, if we decide as a district to move forward with this, then every student, no matter what, we go through. And the whole idea behind it is because of COVID, they want reduced handling of cash and kids going through serving lines and cash registers and all those kind of things are handling cash. And we've eliminated a lot of those things, but this actually, the Summer Seamless program is a way to expedite that whole situation. It's very, I guess, it eases all the restrictions for cleaning meals and counting meals, so it makes it a lot simpler process.
So you would be assuming that you would be making meals for every kid that's in the
I
building, or?
don't anticipate that would happen typically. I mean, typically we have between 600 and 700 students that qualify for free and reduced meals in Twinsburg, and on average, I'd say 60-some% of those actually buy on a regular basis. So I would anticipate that we would see a jump in each school in participation, but I kind of feel like it's, the people that need it are going to take advantage of it. The people that typically buy lunch will take advantage of it. I don't know, and hopefully people that need it will take advantage of it. But I don't foresee that we would be serving, 3,000 meals starting Monday if we start this.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to understand the mechanism.
Yeah.
Families, have we not, or we're still working out that detail, or?
Well, there's no mechanism in it. I mean, it's basically us saying, yes, we want to participate, and we can start claiming meals. And to be honest with you, this is the program that we participated in March. So when school closed in March, the Summer Seamless program opened up to us. So that allowed us to offer those to-go packages to any family. So it's free or reduced, or anybody that was in need. So anybody that had a need could sign up for it and receive those packages all throughout the summer. So we did, and honestly, for our virtual program, we think that'll be a bump there as well. So we kind of thought through like how the mechanism would work for some of our kids. We have a lot of children that are virtual. And right now we have about 90, just a little under 100 students that are receiving meals virtually from us, distributed through Dodge. We distribute, they pick up at Dodge or we deliver to 3 other locations in the district. So I expect that would jump up a little bit. But, you know, the program is, the program is just intended to make it easier for every family, you know, during these difficult times. We also thought about preschools a little difficulty because preschool kids are only here 2 hours a day. So what we would do is open the virtual program up to them as well. So parents of preschool students can pick up or receive delivery on our 3 locations.
So what will happen, Board, is the families will receive a letter in the Blackboard Connect. And for our virtual families, there will be a link that they can submit to Mark that says, yes, I want my child to participate, and this is where I will pick up my child's meals. It'll be on Wednesday, so for our virtual families, the first pickup is on next Wednesday, September 30th. For our in-school students, the elementary in-school, not preschool, elementary in-school who are here every day, they would just go about the business that they normally do and doing their lunch count. And there's processes across the district how that works. Mark indicated preschool is a little bit different. Our preschool children don't eat in school. So if a parent, they have a snack, they don't have a meal. So a preschool family would like their child to participate. They would also have to complete information through the link in the letter. And then for our students in 7 through 12 on campus, while they're on campus, they will have their meals through the lunch count system that Mark had in place. For students on their hybrid day or their blended learning day when they're home, the parents can determine that they would like their children to have those meals when they're home. And so parents have to take a look at the information included in the letter, determine which situation fits their family, and use the link to either print off a copy of the survey or send it in electronically, and then Mr. Bendis and his wonderful staff to take it from there. It's a great opportunity, and whether or not parents participate is really up to them. But to provide meals for students, it's going to save on household budgets. Kids are going to get healthy meals, not that they don't get them from home, but I'm just saying that parents don't have to think about, what do I have to pack for my child's lunch tomorrow when they come to school and get their meal at no cost to the family. So we're very grateful to the USDA, very grateful to Mark and his staff, and of course our transportation staff that'll get those meals out to our virtual kids. We've been doing it since March for our meal drop program. It's just expanded in a greater sense.
It sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of very worthwhile work. So I appreciate that.
Okay. Any other questions at all regarding the program or?
Thank you.
I think it's a great opportunity. I think for us, it's something that we, it's a huge thing we can do for our families in Twinsburg. And there's a lot of families that will benefit from this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers. Next, under communications, is committee reports.
Finance Committee. Start that off, and I've asked Mr. Aho to kind of chime in here as well as Mr. Curtis. You know, hopefully the Finance Committee met on September 10th with 3 items on the agenda, looking at expenditures caused by COVID-19, the $5 million emergency levy renewal, and conceptual legacy plan. Of course, most of the discussion revolved around the expenditures of COVID. So that's the area that I just want to highlight, but what the Finance Committee is recommending at this point is a much deeper dive with respect to a work session for the entire board, because there's a lot to cover. You know, the finance doesn't work in a vacuum, but there were hundreds and hundreds of decisions that had to be made over the last number of months to keep the kids safe, get the schools open, sanitization, and the board made all these decisions along with administration as they came up. And believe me, there was a lot of things that we never thought we'd be discussing. But the The impact of COVID is deep, but fortunately, this district has been in a very good financial state for many, many years, including having a decent fund balance. And hopefully this is when we come to fruition. So the highlights, and again, with the ever shifting sands, as we just heard tonight, another $409,000 may be coming our way. So again, this changed 10 minutes ago. But the hits are broken up into main buckets of curriculum, district, business and PI, wellness and special ed. And again, these are all decisions that we have to the work session. Nothing's going to surprise you because of the things that we will talk about. But the big scary number is the overall hit of expenditures to the general fund is about $2.9 million. But we already have grants and pending grants, not including what we heard tonight, of $400,000, bringing that down to $2.5 million. And just quick highlights. In curriculum, it was everything from some of the technology that we needed to the summer camps and the things that went along with that, and some equipment for teachers. On the district side, the communications plan that I've got to say, I've been stopped on the street from people that live in the district and work in other districts and say they take our plans and send them to their superintendents because of the details of our plans. But that plan and how it was communicated, there were some costs there, additional costs with meal drops, and some things along the Chromebooks. Our biggest hit, of course, was on staffing. The numbers that I'm looking at here are about 1.8 million. And again, we had so many things we had to account for, both in-person teachers, virtual teachers. No longer can you put a couple hundred kids in a cafeteria room and have lunch. When they're all having lunch and they're in the classrooms, we had to hire people, to accommodate that because the teachers need to have their lunch and of course their playing time. So those are just some of the highlights that hit in each of these groups. Of course, all the sanitization, all the PPE, and all those things. Some of these are going to be recurring costs, and that's why we're recommending the work session, to really dive deeper into this and to overall look at how this has impacted the forecasting flow chart that we've used for a number of years. Hands off, this sounds like fun for me. Other things that dealt with additional nursing. Hands off, not touch off. Feedback from someone, but those are just some of the highlights that I wanted to just bring to the board's attention as we dive deeper into this. Before I ask Mr. Aho to go into a little bit more detail, one of the big parts of our planning flow chart is looking at the levies, and the $5 million emergency levy that is upcoming needs to be discussed, and that's again a board decision. There's deadlines coming up. You have basically 3 opportunities to put a levy on the ballot. We've already missed the opportunity for this November, and understandably with everything that we were discussing. But that is again a very big part of the funding. We have been flat with revenues, as Marty's going to show you, for countless years. And these are actually operating levies that we need these funds to operate. We didn't talk extensively about the conceptual legacy project, only to know that again the world has changed, and I believe the administration we're going to take that back to the architects and say, all right, what did we know? What's going to change with buildings, and what do we need to know? So I would think that's going to be forthcoming, but that was not a topic. So overall, a lot of detail. I don't want to get into the patents and patents of depth that we can do at the work session. But Marty, I believe you have a couple other pieces of information that might at least help round out the picture as well as you stand right now.
Yeah, just a couple of quick slides here. There's taking a look at the expenditures over the last several years, going from 2016. There's a listing of them. You can see it over each year on the bottom of the annual percentage increase. So it's increased over this time frame normal. And then the average increase over those 5 years.
I have a bad day. That microphone. Want to disconnect that one and I'll just shout in the voice?
Yeah, we can share.
I think that's what it is, it's right under the microphone.
Can't we just turn that one off?
I don't know how to.
Or put it on the floor,
I'll do
in front of the,
Stay
are we
away.
flying?
Okay, Marty. Now you've made enough.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So there's, expenditures over the last 5 years. And here's taking, 09, or 19 and 20, taking 20 and multiplying that by 4.1% to get the trend for the fiscal year 21. Adding in what the COVID-related expenses are, there's the personnel issues. Mr. Culver alluded to the $1.8 million, retirement insurance, and then purchase services. The purchase service part is due to COVID, added staffing, Mr. Culver alluded to, that's, because you can't have the same number of kids in the classroom, there's fewer kids, spread out further, so we need more hands to, make it work. Purchase service costs due to COVID, that's the 900,000. A lot of that is from the additional nursing services. We have the additional clinics for the COVID piece, special ed service providers, special ed tuition, business and district, like Mr. Culver alluded to, and technology. Those are all contributing to the increase in the purchase service costs. On average, we have about $1 million, the last 5 years, we've on average $1,085,000 in outstanding POs. So if you add that to the 55,000 there, you can see that basically it comes up to what the appropriations are showing. There's something to keep in mind over the years. We have a stretch there where basically we have the same revenues from 2007 through 2018. We've had increases since then, but at least, for that area, you can see, major reason for that is, the caps and state funding and House 920, and the elimination of the tangible personal property tax, which is, that's by there. You can see like in fiscal year 2010, it was $7.8 million. Originally in 2004, it was $9.8 million. And that's gone away, and over the next year or so, it'll be totally eliminated from a high of $9.8 million. Here's a financial strategic planning flowchart. This kind of highlights the idea that we have a levy coming up. So we have the emergency renewal levy. It's under the 2020 label there. This 2020, 2021, and we renew that. Very important to get that renewed. It does still have the homestead rollback reimbursement on it. Because it's an older levy, if it was not to be renewed, then we would lose that state reimbursement. So we have the 3 chances next year. There's 3 elections next year for renewal.
3 or 2, just 2, right?
Yeah, you can do 2 out of that 3. Yeah.
We've already missed the one.
There's 3 elections next year.
Okay.
Yeah, May, August, and November.
I see.
Also up there is the in the red square is the CAT PPP, and that's going away every year at almost $500,000. And of course, well, the only thing that we're missing on there is a big COVID. I should have put that in there. It's a big COVID word. There's the levy cycle. You see the 2 emergency levies on the top. The 2020 to 2021. And then we have another general operating levy coming in 22, 23. Just quick highlights, just to run over that, kind of just to kind of highlight what we did in the finance committee. So that just kind of wraps up real quick.
And, in that meeting, I don't know if Chad can tell me if we can be able to be heard on tape, I'll try to speak loud, but we had, our operating, the fund balance, and it seems to be holding fairly steady. And obviously, there's a lot of these unexpected expenses that are gonna reduce that. But that is something that, has been coveted and talked about for many, many years, and then along comes COVID, and we're very happy. I'm not sure we could have operated the way we did and opened up and done what this district did without having, that safety fund, so to speak, to do that. And again, the board, or the finance committee is recommending a much deeper dive. My biggest concern is we knew the financial issues that were gonna be around 24, 25. And my concern is that we're bringing that year back without, again, we don't know what's next year. We don't know what the budget is. That we saw we had 874,000 taken away right in the beginning of the pandemic. We don't know what next fiscal year. We're getting these all the next grants, but we don't know, again, those grants are not permanent. So we don't know. So that's my big concern. Mr. Curtis, you?
No, I would concur with that. It's nice that we had some federal dollars through CARES to help offset some of our costs. As Mr. Felder said, those are one-time revenues that we will realize. And some of the costs that we've incurred that are pandemic related, we expect that we're going to assume some recurring costs when we look at PPE, when we look at cleaning supplies and solutions and so forth to maintain the cleanliness of our buildings and maintain the safety of our staff. Since we don't know to the extent how long we're going to be in this process, we're anticipating that that's probably going to be something that we're going to have to plan for, not only throughout this school year, but also into the next school year. One of the things that was very fortunate for us is the last levy that we passed, we had budgeted already for the Chromebooks that we've been purchasing. So, that's a saving grace that we had money already appropriated for that. The time frame in which we rolled that initiative out, got moved up and got expedited out of necessity. The fact of the matter is, we had funds available for those additional costs. There were some other costs with respect to the staff, laptops that we had to buy. But other than that, for the most part, most of our technology costs were already planned for and already budgeted for. So some of the unforeseen costs, around COVID we're gonna have to really, be planful, in future years to know that some of these things are gonna continue to occur. And the way in which we're educating kids, now is probably, there's gonna be some form of, hybrid for probably the next couple of years, until, we know more, and until, the general public is trustful, that, in buildings and, being in school 5 days a week, is really safe. So, this is what we know now. I thought it was beneficial to kind of go through all the numbers by department, to just kind of take a look at, some of the things. I mean, as Rob said, we collectively as a board made these decisions, and these expenditures, but to see what the impact is, on the bottom line, and to kind of understand it from a 30,000 foot view, would help.
I did some professional development today with, Alaska, which is one of the treasurer state organizations. One of the topics that came up were some of the school districts that did not have a fund balance at year end, and borrow against next year's dollars to make their payroll at year end, because the state budget cuts affected them. So they were basically short dollars at the end of the year and didn't have a fund balance, basically to cover their year end payroll, so they had to borrow. It's kind of a scary thing.
Our fund balance was never larger than our operating budget. It was always small.
Correct.
And that kind of, people always say, if you don't have that money, you don't have that flexibility to do what we did. Again, the Chromebook initiative, just simply unbundling 7th and 8th grade Chromebooks from carts and sending them home in March. We couldn't have done that. We could have, there was a laptop we had at that, and I found it out the hard way with my company. There wasn't any technology we had from, middle of March. We needed to buy a laptop to do anything. So, again, I think we need to get a much deeper dive where we can, the entire board can look through all the numbers and really start to look, I think, beyond COVID and what might change.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. Great, thank you, Mr. Felber. We'll move on to item F, which is our administrative report. Mrs. Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Just a word about running a school district in the times of the pandemic. It's almost as if we have two parallel districts we're running at the same time, where we have our on-campus and hybrid students, but we also have our virtual students. And so meeting the needs of all of those is quite a strain on the district's budget. So I appreciate the interest of the board to really dive into the numbers. We appreciate the funding through the CARES Act, and thankfully Marty has always been very conservative in how he manages the district's budget, and so we're in a better place than other districts. But we also have to be cognizant of the fact that until we have a vaccine, and until that vaccine is tested, and until people are comfortable taking that vaccine, we're going to be in a circumstance similar to the one that we are right now. And we are fortunate in the fact that we were able to move school buildings and assure the 6 feet social distance. Some districts cannot do that. And in those kinds of circumstances, when you have COVID spread, it is a significant situation. We're fortunate that the situation that happened here on Saturday with a couple of our high school students didn't become a situation where we were asked to quarantine students and teachers. And the reason for that was because I could assure the county that we have the 6 feet social distance in place in our buildings. So all of that that happened this summer, all the measuring that happened, all the movement that happened, is actually benefiting the ability for us to remain in school and to continue great opportunities, depending on the choice of what a parent is, either here or at home. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and I appreciate Marty for his diligence in managing the district's budget. This evening, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, as you know, board, on September 15th, the State Department of Education released a local report card. And it is not as wealthy with information as it usually is, but there's always pearls of wisdom that you can pull from these documents. The data is always good to look at and to figure and to contemplate how we can use it to adjust what we do to benefit our students and our school community. So this evening, Mrs. Parkin is here to give you an overview of the book report card. And at the end of the presentation, she also wants to talk to you about some of the restrictions that are placed upon us by the fact that even though we're in a pandemic, we are still required to test students and some of the plans that we have for bringing virtual kids back on campus, because this is the time of the year that students who are in our elementary primary grades have works written for them for their reading ability for diagnostics. It's also the time of the year that the KRA is administered. And there has been no allowance by the Department of Education or the federal government to step away from these requirements. So as a school district, we have to put into place here opportunities for students to come on campus or come to a place, and we're gonna talk a little about that, how that will look for our kids, keeping everybody safe, but also meeting the letter of the statute that we're required to do with regard to diagnostic assessment of students. So without further ado, I'm gonna ask Jen to come forward and give you the overview.
Good evening, Board of Education. I already made my grant entrance, so, no comment on that. Okay. All right. As Mrs. Powers said, we're going to talk about the local report card. As you'll see, there are a lot of NRs this year. It's all NRs, so there is no report because that was one piece of relief we were given that we are not reported on for our report card for the year. But some of the components do have information in them. And the first component that has information is our graduation rate, because we've had our graduates and we know what happened with them. So again, we are always so thankful and pleased with our graduation rate that you'll see we are at 97.5 and a 99.7. And that is due to the hard work that starts with our students at kindergarten and works its way all the way up through the high school. So if this score were to be, if this measure was to be scored higher, we would have received an A in this area. So one of our things we like to celebrate always. Prepared for Success, we also have the data available with Prepared for Success. As you know, we have been giving the ACT to all of our 11th graders. About half of the students that take the ACT end up with remediation free. As you know, the majority of our students in our district are not as, they're more of an ACT district than an SAT district, but we do have our SAT scores in there. Honors diplomas, industry recognized credentials, AP, we have about 55% of our students participate, and then 46% of those students receive a 3 or higher, and that's something we're always very pleased with. And then about 28% of our students did dual enrollment, and a lot of that is not just College Credit Plus on the higher education campus, but with our College Writing 1, College Writing 2, our Spanish classes, and also our dual credit class that we have with higher for accounting. This measure is also non-report. This is our at-risk K-3 readers. We were also given relief with our students being promoted to 4th grade. We did go through each of the students and their performance on the third grade reading assessment that was given in October, their MAC results, their guided reading results, and at this time we did not retain any 3rd graders that were going into 4th grade, but we are definitely watching those students that we are worried about or didn't have phenomenal success on the OST for 3rd grade. You'll see the year 1, year 2, and year 3. It is a little bit interesting because Wilcox had a year 1 score, but nothing in year 3. So I need to spend a little more time on that, as Mrs. Powers said, we've been really busy. So I did not get to pursue that, but we have all of our data in EMIS, so I'm not necessarily sure why the buildings were a little bit up. Upcoming assessments, MAP testing started this week. Today is only Wednesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. We started with second and third grade who are on campus testing. We also started with our K-1 students testing. We really thought we talked about trying all 5 grade levels that are here at this building testing at once, but we decided we didn't want to do that for anyone. So we will start with our 4, 5, 6 students who are on campus during math testing next week. And then the thing we would like to talk about this evening is our virtual students also need to do math testing. And our plan is that on Monday, which is our data day, we are going to be asking our kindergarten and first grade students to report to Wilcox Primary School that are in the virtual academy. Their classroom teachers will meet them at one of the outside doors. And then the students will come in and take the reading math assessment. And then those students will be pulled over by the classroom teacher as well to complete the KRA, which is the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment. The KRA specifically states that it cannot be administered in a virtual environment. And then math also does have a virtual environment, but in the case of reading and the first time these students are taking math, we want our students to be on our campus with us so we can monitor and watch the situation. We need to make arrangements for some of our other math testing to happen with our other grade levels, looking potentially at NEOEA Day. Also, so for second and third grade, we would like to thank our friends at the city. They are allowing us to use the community center. So we're gonna kind of move into the community center next week, and we will be administering math testing at the community center. So the students will come and meet their virtual teacher. We will have 2 second grade one day, 2 second grade the second day, then 2 third grade, and then 2 third grade. We will start at 10 a.m. Our parents will be receiving a letter either later this evening or tomorrow morning in regard to that testing. If students need transportation, we will provide transportation for those students. We realize that some parents chose virtual because they do not want their students with other children, or they don't want their students on the bus. So we will make arrangements for those families to take the assessment in another manner. We also know that Monday is a Jewish holiday, so our kindergarten and first grade students who are of the Jewish faith, obviously we will make up another time for those students to test. I think I got everyone with math. One other caveat with math testing is NWEA and ODE are not allowing us to use math testing for gifted identification unless it is done on our campus or in our facility. So if a student in 5th grade, which is one of the bands we use for gifted identification, we will not be able to use that 5th grade assessment unless they were on our campus. So we're making that very clear with our families. It's just another constraint that we're working with. And then coming up in October 14th, we will be administering the PSAT to juniors. That will be on campus. Students will be in masks, obviously, in the classrooms with 6-foot social distancing. The other students will not be in attendance that morning. And then in the afternoon, we are going to administer the pre-ACT to sophomores. Our sophomore class did not get to take the pre-ACT as 9th graders because we were in the pandemic and had to shut down at that point in time because it was our goal to test them in March or April. So we will be administering the pre-ACT to sophomores in the afternoon. Our freshmen and seniors will have an online day, a digital day, where they will have a hybrid day where they will have assignments that they will complete online. So that allows our 9th through 12th grade instructors to proctor because there are a lot of people that we need in place to get to national tests done on Monday. Not on there is the Ohio State test, which we will be administering to 3rd grade at this moment in time. At the end of October, our week is October 6th. So at that point in time, we will also need to probably do something, either St. Cosmos and Vivian has offered their facility, and then also the community center to administer the Ohio State test to our 3rd graders in person. The nice thing with that is we did select paper and pencil. You made the resolution that we would do paper and pencil, so we don't have to worry about students bringing Chromebooks and being charged on that. That was a lot longer than I thought it would be. So, does anyone have any questions?
I just think that, it's a lot of prep and it's a lot of changes. So we appreciate that. I know it's a lot of additional stress to have these encumbrances.
There's never a dull moment. There's never a dull moment, ever. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to go and thank Mrs. Barling. She makes it sound so easy and simple. It's not. And again, we're running parallel school districts right now, and I'm, as a superintendent and as my colleagues superintendents, we're pretty frustrated about this testing piece. And a lot of this is being funneled through the federal government. There are testing waivers that could have been offered or could have been approved, and it's at the federal government level that we are where we are having to test these students. And so I'm very frustrated by this. I know our parents who have selected the virtual academy do not desire for their children to come back on campus. I understand that. However, we have the requirements under statute to test students, and so thankfully the city has been so generous in offering not just the community center, but the senior center, so we can spread the kids out. And Father Michael over at Cosmos has been generous with his space if we need it as well. So thankfully to our community partners, this will all work out in the end. But it is very frustrating that we are being asked to do assessments and we're a small school district. Imagine being in Cleveland or Dayton, trying to figure this out here in the remote platform. So just wanted you to understand and hear from us some of the stressors under which this is all being managed. And we recognize, we're very cognizant of what our parents have asked us to do, and we're trying to meet those needs. But we do have requirements under statute with regard to this testing that we do have to try to get the children in to be assessed and then move forward. So thank you. That concludes our reports for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Powers, and I just would concur with you with respect to the unwillingness at the federal level to grant waiver under the circumstances that many districts find themselves in. There are very few districts, every district is pretty much dealing with this pandemic differently, in one way, in one shape or fashion. And the extent to which we're going to be expected to do regular assessments when we have the ability, every district has the ability to do their own assessments to determine where kids are and adapt instruction to meet their needs. We have the ability to do that, but I think it's an unfair burden that's been placed on districts to have to worry about tests that are administered at one point in time. They don't really tell us a whole lot. They don't tell us more than what we already know. So under the circumstances, we're in the middle of the pandemic, this is something that I think personally is unreasonable to expect districts to continue to do. But the fact that you're able to step up and make it happen and be very creative in how you do this is commendable. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I find it amazing that like the colleges there will adapt and be flexible, but we, because of him for time.
So thank you. We'll move on to action item G. And I will read the resolution, board resolution regarding public participation. Resolution that the Twinsburg Board of Education limits public participation at board meetings to 5 minutes per person until the total time of 30 minutes is used, and modifies procedures applicable to public participation to allow individuals who desire to participate to either submit a blue card found in the lobby to the treasurer prior to the meeting, so that they can be recognized by the board president and welcome to make a comment, or to submit written statements and or questions for the Board of Education's consideration via email to the treasurer at least 24 hours prior to board meeting. The email address to send the statement question to the treasurer is maho@twinsburgcsd.org. The treasurer will then read statements, questions to the board during the portion of the meeting designated for public participation in an alternate fashion with individuals who are present at the meeting and who have submitted blue cards. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included on this agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. Comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent. Do I have a motion for item G1? So moved by Mrs. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Felber. Discussion. And hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis.
Yes. Passes 5-0. So, with respect to announcements, is item H, Mr. Aho, do we have any?
Nothing.
Any letters?
No letters, no.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on to item I, treasury report and recommendations, I1 and 2. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read them together. I1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education of the Twinsburg City School District, Summit County, Ohio, that to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures of said Board of Education during the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, and following sums be and the same are hereby set aside and appropriated for several purposes for which expenditures are to be made and during said fiscal year upon recommendation of the treasurer. 2, whereas Ohio Revised Code sections 5705.05-.06, 5705.14, 5705.15, and 5705.16 transfer funds states in part that no transfer can be made from one fund of subdivision to any other fund except as follows. The unexpended balance of any special fund other than an improvement fund may be transferred to the general fund or to the sinking fund or bond retirement fund after the termination of the activity, service, or other undertaking for which such special fund existed, but only after payment of all obligations incurred and payable from such special fund. RC 5705.14D. Whereas several special revenue and/or student activity funds have unencumbered cash balances, and whereas are determined to be dormant or unused, therefore, the Twinsburg Board of Education determines it necessary to transfer funds in dormant and unused special revenue and/or student activity funds into the general fund for the proper public purpose of usual and necessary expenditures. Do I have a motion for items I1 and 2? So moved by Mr. Felber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis.
Yes. Passes 5-0. Moving on, action items J1 through 3. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read them together. J1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. 2, that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And 3, that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Do I have a motion for items J1 through 3? So moved by Mrs. Fabio. Do I have a second?
Second.
second by Mrs. Gordon. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. DeFazio?
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon? Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. Now passes 5-0. Next is action items of business K1 through 7. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read them together. K1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with Reserve School of Applewood Centers Incorporated, Reserve School, for one student to attend Reserve School effective August 13th, 2020, at a rate of $258.37 per day for the 2020-2021 school year per contract since the board under separate cover. 2, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the revised contract for the 2020-2021 school year with the Willow Transportation, 34799 Curtis Boulevard, Unit A, East Lake, Ohio, 44095, for as-needed transportation services for extracurricular events and select special education homeless routes pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in the contract since the board under separate cover. 3, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding with the Twinsburg Education Association regarding the establishment of a new class of temporary at-will long-term substitutes, quarantine long-term substitutes, as it relates to Governor DeWine's school closure order and the COVID-19 pandemic as since the board under separate cover. 4, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the second reading of the revised Board of Education policy as noted below, 5460, graduation requirements. 5, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the Twinsburg High School senior Olivia Riggy to exercise board policy 5111, optional tuition-free education, and remain a Twinsburg High School student through the end of the 2020-2021 school year. 6, that the Twinsburg Board of Education authorizes the treasurer to defer the proceeds from candy sales, which reduce the fees for the Greenville Village trip and the Camp Fitch trip to pay students academic, co-curricular, and extracurricular fees for the 2021 school year, with remaining funds placed in the students' meal accounts. And 7, that the Twinsburg Board of Education authorizes the Summit County COVID-19 Public School District Reopening Grant Agreement, which provides a portion of Summit County's allocation of CARES Act dollars appropriated at $100 per student based upon our district's daily memberships as provided by the Ohio Department of Education. These funds will be used to support classroom instruction during the pandemic as since the board under separate cover. Do I have a motion for K1 through 7? So moved by Mr. Felber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion?
Actually, I have a question on this for the deferment of candy sale proceeds, as I'm reading this again, just, this could be a grammatical question. I'm assuming the funds will go back to the specific student that raised the money.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just a comment and thank you. You know, we already know through this pandemic and before that we have tremendous staff. Just the cooperation of our bargaining units, especially in the MOU that we just read. They just continue to allow us to operate and to work together. That's appreciated. I don't think a lot of districts get that same cooperation. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I know that Mrs. Power spoke of this earlier through the Summit County Council, but any and all extra dollars that can be allocated and used for districts to offset costs in any way, shape, or form is much appreciated. So I appreciate the efforts of the county council in working to secure these dollars so that school districts in Summit County can benefit.
Just a word about the MOU. Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Felber. This particular MOU is really important because these substitute teachers would have the primary responsibility of instructing students who are quarantined home by Summit County Public Health Department. So if we were to have a situation where there was a widespread, or even just a student or two, it's very difficult for the classroom teacher to manage their class. And in the case of 712, their class here today and Harvard tomorrow, and have a student who's quarantined home. So these substitute teachers will be working specifically with the students who are in a quarantine situation. And then if there aren't any students that are quarantined, then they will be building subs, and we're always in the need of subs. And if not, they can do intervention with students. And so I appreciate your consideration of that MOU this evening. It will fill the need because fortunately, and I say this knocking on wood, we haven't had many students quarantined. We're early in the pandemic, though we want to be planful for. Later in the agenda, you will see the request for the interactive flat panels, the IFPs. And what those will be used for, Board, is if we have a member of the staff who is quarantined home and their class is here at school, what we're going to be able to do is to use the technology for the teacher to teach using, she's at home, her image is projected on this large flat panel. So her students in class will be able to get the lessons right from the teacher. This is a situation where the teacher's not sick, but they have to be quarantined home, right? So instruction can continue using technology. And we talked with the union, they're 100% on board, so this is not going to be an issue as far as associations would raise concern. But it continues education for our students, which is really very important. So that expenditure is for the flat panel, it's also for the little camera that goes on it, so that we can provide instruction ongoing, given whatever circumstance we encounter. So just trying to be planful and using technology to help us get through this.
And those are mobile, they'll be able to go throughout the buildings
Yes.
and across them.
Yeah, so this expenditure would provide 2 additional interactive flat panels for each school. So if we don't have, and we have many throughout the district, these are just the additional 2. If we don't have a circumstance where teachers are quarantined, then the rest of the staff can just take those out as loaners for the day. They're on wheels, the parks that they move. Pretty neat technology. Thank you.
Thanks, I'm seeing that, I didn't know that capability. That's great. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Feldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Fabio?
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon?
Yeah,
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. It passes 5-0. Moving on to K, 8, and 9, without objection from my colleagues, I will read them together. K8, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves and authorizes the Ohio Schools Council for the November 2020 Cooperative School Bus Purchasing Program to advertise and receive bids on behalf of said board as per specifications submitted for the cooperative purchase of 3 72-passenger utilized conventional school bus chassis and bodies. And 9, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the purchase of interactive flat panels from CDWG LLC, 200 North Milwaukee Avenue, Vernon Hills, Illinois, 60061, in the amount of $32,115.35, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a CRF expense. Do I have a motion for K, 8, and 9?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Davis, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. DeFabio. Discussion.
Again, what I mentioned in finance, all those decisions, these are 2 examples, both from the previous resolutions, for subs, and then again, how are we continuing excellent education, and we have the ability to do it. These are just, again, expenditures that we could not have predicted, but definitely are helping move things forward in this time.
Great, and I will also add, I know Chad is usually down here to comment on our bus purchasing through Ohio Schools Council. This is something that is normal practice as part of our regular bus replacement cycle, but going through the Ohio Schools Council, we're able to leverage both pricing and also take advantage of reduced costs that we otherwise would incur if we did not go through Ohio Schools Council. Any other comments? Okay, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mr. Feller,
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes. That item passes 5-0. K10. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the revised Board of Education policy as noted in K4 above. Do I have a motion for K10? So moved by Mrs. Gordon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fabio. Discussion. Hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mr. Feller,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes. Passes 5-0. Next is K11. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the second reading of revised Board of Education bylaw as noted below. 0123, Code of Ethics, Code of Conduct. Do I have a motion for K11? So moved by Mrs. Gordon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fabio. Discussion. Yeah, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mr. Feller,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes. And that item passes 5-0. And next is K12. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the revised Board of Education bylaw as noted in K11 above. Do I have a motion for K12? So moved by Mrs. Gordon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fabio. Discussion. Hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. DeFabio,
Yes.
Mr. Feller,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes. Passes 5-0. We're on to miscellaneous. Any items for discussion in miscellaneous?
You know, I'll just do a quick shout out to our coaches, our staff, all the people who've been involved in, keeping our kids safe at these, games and activities they're participating in, and, just the fact that, parents are able to be a part of their kids' experiences right now in this crazy, unexpected time. And, I'm just happy and thrilled for our students too, that they're able to do, as much as they're able to do right now outside of the classroom and give some sense of normalcy. And, like I said, the coaches and staff, the volunteers, volunteer coaches, everybody has just been doing a really incredible job. And then working with the other schools too, to, have some kind of, agreement as to who we're gonna bring in, how we're going to limit people. And in some cases, it's different. Ours, we're able to accommodate a little bit more than some other schools, but, everybody's doing the best they can, and I really appreciate all the efforts for that.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. I just recently had an opportunity to the senior day, for the football team, and it was our first home game. So just, experiencing the new normal, if you will. The stands are all clearly marked. The announcer continuously throughout the game reminds our patrons to make sure that they wear a mask at all times, not hang around or loiter or linger in areas, not to congregate. Everyone that I can see in the stands pretty much adhered to the process. Special thanks to the monitors or whatever the titles are. Yeah, compliance officers. They were out and about, making sure that, people were adhering to the rules And I know that the most recent report that we got, you know, from folks that kind of like to pop in and make sure everything is going smoothly, I think we got all flying colors. And so I just think it's just validation for all the hard work that's gone into making this thing happen and make sure that, you know, we're doing things as safely as possible. And to Mrs. Davis' point, so that students and their parents can have this experience with their children, even under these circumstances. So I would appreciate that.
And I guess I should have quickly mentioned too, thank you for the parents and spectators who have been coming and abiding by these new regulations and being respectful to the people who are, you know, kind of trying to enforce this. I guess, you know, they deserve that thanks as well.
Any other comments or miscellaneous? Okay. The only other thing that I would add is, since this is being live streamed, I want to apologize for the inconvenience or disruption, technical difficulties that we've experienced. As you can see, we're in a new venue, and so all of this is new and testing out. I think I want to thank the staff for trying to be creative in allowing the general public an opportunity to be a part of our meeting under these circumstances. So apologize for the slight technical difficulties that we had during the meeting, but nonetheless, it does afford us an opportunity to be safe and have a public meeting where the general public is able to view us. Okay. We do not have a need for executive session, so I will make a motion for adjournment. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Davis. I'm sorry. Sorry. By Mrs. Fabio. Roll call.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabio,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
We are adjourned. Thank you and have a good evening.